Hey everyone. Man, these episodes are going by quick. It's crazy. We're already on number 8. I already forgot to mute myself, but there we go. Fixed it up. Hey, Lars, how you doing, man? Glad to see you back. Um, Starting off today, I just wanted to recap what we did yesterday. I'm getting used to my regular monitors again, so I'm I'm happier today. Um, it's crazy. You'd think you'd like bigger monitors, but sometimes it's just too big. Um, but yeah, so just looking at what we did yesterday. Yesterday we kind of started into this idea of modular design. I really wanted to continue into harder today. So yesterday we kind of introduced the concept of our auth modules being modular. They were already pretty modular at the start. If the stream is blurry enough, let me see. Yeah, it's pretty blurry. Let me up the bit rate here. Let's see. Can I do that? I might have to stop it and restart. No. Let's try that. Bump it up to here. Let's see. Did that make it any better? I think the text is coming in at least. I still look kind of blurry on my screen. Let me see if I can bump it up a little bit more. Still showing green. And one of these days I'll figure out this streaming stuff. Let's try that. I think that's good. Lars, if it gets fuzzy again, let me know. Let me see if maybe I can adjust it some more. Um, so yeah, yesterday we addressed making our auth modules or our auth libs modular. So we're using them now in both the social media app, and yesterday we just like concocted this to do app really quick. So we kind of just did the things to make that new to do app. And aside from me bumbling a bit, it was pretty easy to just import those things in. And we have this app now that we can log into, same way we had before. That'll let us log in. And we can see sort of the task list here and our name. So similar functionality to what we had done for the social media app, but now it's just it's just the same thing got reused, and now we have the added benefit. So it's kind of like a boon. There's benefits and there's downsides to this. The downside of having this be modular is now if we ever want to make some change to authentication, there's now kind of the concept of a breaking change, right? Like we can, if our social media app now needs something different for auth, we can potentially break our to do app by making some changes to it. So it's important in this situation, if we're going to pursue this, to make sure we have like some end-to-end tests set up so that we can make sure as we're making changes, are all of our apps passing? Is everything passing? So that's kind of the downside, which is it is what it is. And we have the benefit though now of like we have sort of this like litany of things in our backlog that we're eventually going to handle, that we're eventually going to fix rather. Um, and when we fix them in one, the good part is both apps will get those fixes. So that's kind of good. I think another benefit of modular design is it's better to build with Lego blocks than to build like the analogy I heard. There's this guy Rick Hickey who's done he's the creator for Clojure. he has this really great talk about easy and simple. Hey, there's Frosty. What's up, man? Good to see you, dude. But yeah, going back to the analogy of easy and simple, like modular design is like Lego blocks. Like we're building a Lego block, we're able to use that block, we're able to pull it out and put something else on top of it. We're able to use that Lego block somewhere else. And the opposite of this is kind of like knitting something with yarn. And a lot of times, I think when we add on our features or like our stuff, I don't know, we're kind of knitting it together. Like they're so tightly coupled, they don't make sense unless the other pieces exist. And the downside of that is like if you want to replace that, our auth module, if it was so tightly coupled to our apps, if we want to replace that at some point down the road, we have to like. It's kind of like the Indiana Jones thing. You got the one thing and you got to like perfectly replace it. If you want to make changes to it, or at least leave things in a similar state or get everything connected. So defining these things in terms of like modules, I think gets us into a much better space. It's much easier to move around and navigate, which can be a thing when you get to really large code bases. So yeah. Today, so that was kind of all the stuff we said we were going to do yesterday. Didn't get to most of the stuff, but we got to the main stuff. We made our new app. We plugged in the auth module. We proved it was modular enough. There's probably some more things we could do about that. Today, actually, though, this is the one major thing I want to do. I want to inspect our depth graph and see if we can do a better job of modularizing stuff. And so we had talked about in our last stream, like there's some stuff we could do with auth, like we could make it so the auth module could be a little more configurable. Like we could say, well, this is where the login route is actually exposed on. Like we could add some configs into that. I actually don't want to do that today. I want to think about that more, about what exactly we could do to make our module more configurable. I think that's different from what I want to tackle today, though. What I want to tackle today is I want to inspect the depth graph, and I want to identify things where things are coupled and see if we can break those out. So the big thing I imagine this is going to be is right now we have this sort of one bucket, and it's the idea is this bucket is for all of our NGRX actions and selectors for anything front end. When we first made this, we only had the concept of the one app. So I think we named it actually something really specific too. Let's see, I think I have the depth graph running, and we can just kind of pull it up here. So this is the depth graph. I'm going to try to zoom in a bit. Can I just scroll in? Oh, yeah. Come on, scroll. Let's do that. There we go. So you kind of see we're getting fairly big now. I have the group by folders turned on. So we got here's our backend modules. We have the backend content posts, which is very specific to our circle is the name of our social media app, like the big thing we're building. This module is very specific to that app. So we can see there's a dependency between those. We see there is a dependency between our backend auth and the API, or the social media API. That's intended. I think we can probably get rid of this line here. I think this is something we can remove. And we can kind of see that demonstrated. Like right here, we have our to-dos API. Well, I don't know. We'll take a look at that. Maybe that's something we can remove. Maybe not. The to-dos API is just is just bringing in that auth module by itself, though, right? So this is all right. That we've got the Mongo module down here, and these things just both kind of know about that. That's fine. But then we see if we trace these things down. So there's a line coming out here, line coming out here. They all have the concept of the shared bucket at the bottom here, which is just this. It's kind of like this dump of TypeScript stuff. We call it content post utils. Really, we've been just dumping like auth stuff in there, bunch of other stuff. So I'm going to kind of look to separate that out. So we'll have like a I think we're going to have a separate. So here we have a content post. The idea for this was a content post bucket. For auth, I think we'll have a separate bucket. And these things, so this bucket kind of exists outside of the concept of back end and front end. I think that makes sense. So this other auth bucket is going to exist outside of those bounds too. So this is where we'll have like our base level interfaces, like what's a user, really what's a Mongo user. Like that's kind of specifically back end, but we'll just kind of leave it in there that way for now. And then we kind of see going to the front end side, we have our Circle web client, and we have our To-Dos web client. The To-Dos web client uses this auth module, but it also uses this one big bucket of just NGRX actions. So this is the big thing I said I wanted to clean up. I want to make a separate bucket specifically for front end auth. And then this bucket here, I want to make this specific to our Circle. I want to make another bucket over here somewhere that's going to be specific to the To-Dos web client. So the idea is we'd have this bucket of auth stuff. Our bucket for our Circle front end stuff is going to just pretty much import all that stuff. So if we think about it in terms of like NGRX, what's the word I'm looking for? Good action hygiene. That's the phrase I'm looking for. If we want to think about our Circle app in terms of our actions, I want to have one bucket where all those actions exist. So auth is going to have its own bucket that is specifically for auths, but that bucket just exists so that other, like an app-specific bucket, like the RCircle bucket, can just inherit from it. And then we'll also have a To-Dos NGRX bucket that's just going to inherit from that. I think that will make things, that's really just fixing some of the stuff that we have here that's preventing us from being better modularized. So yeah, let's look at that. Let's do this first. We've got our markdown file here. I want to say first off, we're going to add a lib for auth TypeScript resources. And so that's the first piece. I want to do that. Then I want to make a bucket lib for all of our auth actions and selectors. So let's add that. Make a bucket lib for auth NGRX actions selectors. And I want to make in an alternative future where Mike Ryan has Tourette's and runs around shooting random things, good action hygiene will be one of the things he says. Yes, it will. Man, I really loved his talk about that. It really made me think about things differently. The phrase that's actually more helpful to me than good action hygiene is event. What was it? Event oriented versus like command oriented. What's this? Bring it over here. Good action hygiene in a single sheet. Yeah, I saw this. Yep. This is kind of what we were getting to. So we make actions based on events, not on commands. So if we think about an event, we just think about a user kind of going through turrets. We just think of a user going through the app. We don't think of it in terms of, well, I got to set this piece of memory, got to go out and do this stuff, got to go hit this API. I don't think we really think about that. We think about it in terms of, well, the users clicked a button. That's like an event. We think of it as in terms of the users logged in. That's a discrete event. The user just tried to log in. The user's login failed. So yeah, we kind of talked about that in some of our previous stuff too. But we got a bucket lib for our auth, NGRX actions and selectors. We want to make it. I want to rename this one too. Let's make sure we do this. Rename the NGRX bucket lib for the R Circle web app, and import the auth bucket. All right, and then we're going to make a NGRX bucket lib for the to-dos web client and import auth bucket. I think that's good for now. I don't think I'm missing anything. Just to show off some of the stuff NX can do, like this is our depth graph thingy here. If we can just like target one of these things, like target front end auth, this is a lot more manageable, I think, to look at than having everything up there. This can kind of like isolate things too. So if we look at our like front end auth thing, it actually is like, I think this is pretty clear how all these things work together. Front end auth is dependent on, okay, that's the bucket one. Yeah, we definitely need better names for this. Lars or Frosty, you got a good name? Like, I don't want to just call it the NGRX bucket. I guess I could. I would know exactly what that meant. Some of the hardest problems in programming is naming stuff, though. Probably just call it the NGRX bucket lib. All right, so let's attack this. We're going to add a lib for our auth TypeScript resources. So let's do our console fancy stuff. Shared data access. I like that. So Nitin in his book suggested that sort of that right out of the NX playbook. It's that's kind of the prescribed name that we've given, but usually when we talk about those kind of data access libs, it has the reducer and the effect in there too. Whereas we're keeping the reducer and the effect inside of the actual feature. So like if we look over here at the depth graph, let's just target the RCircle web client. Target that one. So if we just think of it in terms of this, the reducer and the effects for our content posts, I'm keeping inside of this lib. I think that's where they belong, honestly. Calling this one data access, I mean, this is not even an Angular module right here. Like this is just this is literally just the actions, the selectors, and the interfaces. So I don't know. I think data access may be misleading. I almost want to call it like NGRX assets. NGRX like public assets. I don't know. We'll see. Let's focus on the task at hand, and we can maybe think if we can come up with a better name by then. Add a lib for auth_ts resources. So we're going to generate. We're going to say this is just a lib. We want just to have a narwhal workspace lib. So this is a lib that's like has no assumptions on what framework you're using or whether it's back end or front end. And so we're going to, let's move this over here so we can keep it in mind. Create a lib for our auth_ts resources. And what did we call the other one? Call it content post utils. So I'll just call this one auth utils. So again, this is just this is pretty much just interfaces for our user objects and stuff like that. No directory, none of this stuff. I don't think we need any of this stuff. Eventually we'll get tags. We could probably do a whole episode on tags, honestly. So we'll generate that. And let's open it up. Libs, we have our auth utils. And I think we're just going to take the content post utils. We're going to, so here's the content post stuff. Really, we just want to grab this file, I think, and just move it on over. Let's see if I can just drag and drop this. Speaking of Indiana Jonesin, move it in here. We're going to delete this unused file. And in here, we're going to import from user.interface. There we go. So I wonder, is this going to live refresh for me if I hit refresh? No, I don't see it. I might have to cancel it and restart it. Let's try that. We're going to have a whole bunch of, a lot of this may be just us fixing imports too. That's what everyone wants to watch, right? So there's our auth utils. Right now, nothing depends on it. It's just kind of sitting off by itself. So yeah, so we are going to want to now come into, let's go start fixing our crap. So this needs to come in from admin, no, not admin, called it auth utils. Go. It might be it's probably a better way of doing this than going through each different file. I was thinking maybe I could just like look for this. This needs to be auth. I wonder how many times I can just find this. Utils. Let's see. No results found. Shoot. I was hoping I could just find them all that way. I'm guessing it's not going to be an exact match, but we'll just auth utils. Can get rid of this. Utils. Let's restart. Surprised actually the API didn't break as soon as I did that. I might not be using that user. I thought I was. I thought for sure I was. Oh, there they go. I forgot. Type checking actually finishes after the app itself serves. It's kind of weird. Auth utils. What isn't it like that? Let's restart the types of server and go to the next one. So let's log out. Let's try log in. So we're going to bring this in from auth utils. It doesn't like any of these. Authorize. Let's touch that one real quick. Mongo access token from auth. Go. Looks like we have one more on our client side. I'm going to restart the API just to make sure we got them all there. Pretty sure we got them all on the Angular side. There we go. Nope, missing some. Yeah, that's definitely auth. Go. No type errors. Sweet. So now let's go back here. Let's restart the depth graph. And let's refresh. Now, if we select all, we should see our auth utils and the content post utils are now separated. So let's highlight just front end auth for now. So we can see front end auth depends. So the big thing is we want to remove the line between front end auth and the content post utils. We can see that's gone. So that's there. This is kind of the front end side of things. Let's check. So there's still this line between this and the bucket. So this is another line we're going to want to do, but we'll hit that in like one of our next action items. Let's check the back end auth. Make sure we're similar over here. So we are still tightly coupled to the backend Mongo module. So, and I'm just kind of okay with that being tightly coupled for now. Like switching out from Mongo is like making a stack level change, or stack level change. It's not like a technical term, but it's something big enough. I'm almost kind of all right. Not fixing right now. Like the proper way to fix this, if we really wanted to fix it, like if we really wanted to be able to let auth have like a completely different database behind it, we could do something where we had an interface that our auth expected and like a data access lib or something like that. Or so maybe just some data access code inside the backend auth itself that just said, here's an interface that we need in order to get some information from some database. And we could just have like some functions from that. And so a Mongo implementation would just, whenever we had something like find user based on access token, that could be like a function. We could have a Mongo implementation that's just going to go out and implement that interface, implement that function really, and just say, okay, you asked for a user based off the access token, here you go. And we could do the same thing over here with like a backend Postgres module or something like that. But I'm okay with this being tightly coupled to Mongo for now, like I said. So this is good. I do want to take a look at this line before we go on. Let's see. I think the reason for this, if we go into, let's check out that lib and see where we're importing that. So we're going to want to go back end, content post. And let's just look for this one's. This one actually needs the auth utils, right? Because we need to know about the user when we're creating a post. I think that's all right. Looking at this one. So I'm looking for something that's importing auth. I think we'll probably find it at this level. Right, so we're calling router.use authorize. So that's saying for our, this is the content post router, we're going to use the authorized middleware for everything that comes through on it. I think, let's bring up the main here. So let's bring up the main for our Circle API. So here we can see we're importing that router as the content post router here and putting it right here. I think we can just do this to get rid of that line. I don't know, this might not be good. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this for now. And let's restart the depth graph. And let's target the backend auth. So yeah, at this point, The backend auth is in no way coupled to our content post. Because really what we're doing at this point, we're saying inside of this RCircle API, we're taking this Lego block and dropping it into the API. So we're saying, here's some Lego blocks from our backend auth stuff. Here's a middleware piece for authorizing stuff. And then if let's target actually the RCircle API. Zoom in. Right, so it's pulling in Lego blocks from this. It's pulling in Lego blocks from this and putting them together. So we can see it's pulling in the Lego block that's the router. It's pulling in the Lego block that's the authorized. The only thing that's giving me pause is kind of that this router will break. This router will break if we don't have that authorized middleware on it. So part of me is like wanting to keep it in there, but I don't know. I'll think about that more. For now, I'm just going to erase it from here so we can be more on brand with being modular and stuff. So there we go. We've added our lib for our auth TS resources. Dine. So now the Eye of Sauron is going to focus on our bucket lib. Lars, you still there? Any better ideas? So on brand. Hey, Nicole, how's it going? Good to see you. Nicole, you missed it. I used all these analogies from the NG Seattle talk from last week. So I did talk about braiding so much, but I did talk about easy and simple. I don't think I used this analogy on my talk so the stuff in this, Lars, the stuff in this lib, this is going to hold actions and selectors. So there is going to be, so this one specifically for auth, the idea is any kind of auth event. So think of like a login event or a like login successful event. These are all things I want to go in that lib. And then also selectors for it. So like, am I logged in? Who is the logged in user? So that's kind of what's going in this lib. And yeah, thanks, Nicole. I was rewatching that that talk because I'm weird like that. I actually rewatched all of my broadcasts to see if I could do stuff better. But I was really happy with the way that talk turned out. So that was really cool. And Alex's talk right afterwards, I need to dig into that stuff more. So he gave a talk on the component store, the NGRX component store. And I need to take another look at that one because that was a really good talk. And it looks like a really interesting library I'll need to look at. Yeah, util auth. I'm going to call it NGRX auth utils. Or maybe auth NGRX utils. I think that's a good name. Let's go with that one. So we'll go here and we'll generate a new lib. So this one actually doesn't need to be a Angular lib either. We're just going to make this like using the workspace lib. And we're going to do this. So we're going to call it, what did I say? We'll call it the auth NGRX utils. I like it. So this is going to go into the front end because even though it's not Angular specific, it doesn't really make much sense on the back end. I know. So rewatching talks, it's for me like listening to yourself talk again. That's always kind of hard because you don't really know what you sound like. But I have the added, it's the added thing of also seeing yourself as you're replaying the talk. So yeah, I think that talk's online too. I've been posting some links to it because I really enjoyed it. I'm actually going to give a longer version at that talk at NG Phoenix in a couple months here. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, let's look at our dry one. Did Yeah, I just hit that. Looks good. We'll run it. And let's open it up. So this is going in front end. Oh, shoot. Called it the wrong thing. And I didn't commit before I did it. I think we can use, let's try to use that moved schematic to move it. When I made it, I called the directory, how did I call it? I called it front. Well, this is the destination, so I want to just call it auth grx utils. And I want to source it from front -end. That's a mistake I made in that schematic just now. I was even looking at the dry run results for it, and I completely missed it. But let's see if this works. Front to end. If I just get rid of this, will it find it? Let me try just grabbing this. Copy. Just make a new terminal and paste it in. Oops. That didn't do anything. Project not found. Okay. Project not found in workspace. Did I front -end/auth? No, so what the fuck is a cold observable? This was a previous talk, Lars. That's one I gave a while back. I actually feel like that one kind of landed weird. Like I gave a talk on the difference between a hot and a cold observable. I think it was like a decent talk, but yeah, my beard was a lot better then. But I felt like that talk landed so weird with the audience because I kind of like dropped them in the middle of a RxJS journey. And then after I gave the talk, a lot of the questions were, well, what is an observable? And I felt so bad. I felt like immediately, oh, this whole thing went right over people's heads. I assumed so much about what they knew. So that was a good lesson to learn for me. Totally my mistake, but I learned, I think. I learned from that. So it's not able to find it this way. I'm spelling it right. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And RxJS is so hard because it's such a steep learning curve and such a journey to learn it all. It's hard to give a talk that's going to be far reaching and give people valuable information while still like hitting them where they're at. So can't seem to move this one. Yeah, for sure. Steep learning curve. It's also hard to talk about it. I actually I got in like a little Twitter conversation today. Me and Adam actually from Narwhal were talking about it and like brought up a stack blitz and looked at it. Just about like some assumptions on how things work. Like I could get into a whole thing, but I learned today. I learned new stuff about RxJS. I consider myself knowing it pretty well. Project name wouldn't have a slash in it. Let's see. So project name wouldn't have the slash. Oh yeah. Good call. Okay, so that took us there. So we just want to change the... Lars, you rock, man. That was awesome. Let's see if we can like jam in the directory we want in here. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Whoops. Dry run that. Dude, that totally works. Johanna is so awesome. She thought of everything. So let's run this without dry run. And that should just magically move this over. It's going to leave this empty directory here, so I'm just going to delete that. So there it is, our auth ngrx utils. I wonder at some point too, I don't want to do this today, but we could do maybe something better with the way the directory structure works. That's kind of like ancillary. Using this move schematic is going to make that a lot easier than it otherwise could be too, if we want to redo the way these the directory structure works. But yeah, so let's take a look. We had our, what was the name of this lib? So this is like the lib of our huge bucket thing right here. I think we're just going to want to grab all of the auth stuff out of there. Just drag and drop it up in here. So we'll move that. And we can delete that file. And we can export star from these lovely files we just made. Auth.selectors, state interface. There we go. Then down here, we're going to have to remove them like so. And if we look at our serve, that should give us a bunch of nice links so we can just fix all these. So these are all coming now from this new auth ngrx utils. Let me restart the TypeScript server so TypeScript can know about this new lib, this new name. Did I not hit enter? Oh, geez. What happened there? A lot of stuff. There's no... Our circle web client actions. What is it talking about? Let's go in here. Did that not work? Let's try this one. Submit login form. So these are all things that come from here. Auth. Oof, VS Code. There we go. Now the reducer, all these things should be coming from there. So we'll do it here. Auth, grx utils. Goodness, VS Code. I gotta remember that that don't work. Login component. Ooh, that, wait. Submit login form. Yeah, that should be coming from that right there. So we'll call this it's the same as the other one. And I forgot it's going to do that again. There you go. Let's just hit. So I'm hitting Option Shift O, and that's just going to format all my imports for me, including removing unused imports, which is super nice. I think, okay, this is, looks like it might be working now. Let's cancel and restart it. All right, so that's working. So I think in terms of this, we're done now. Let's take a look at the depth graph again. Yeah, it's so nice. I remember in some world before with that that auto format imports. Before then, I had like a rule that I was working with that things needed to be in alphabetical order for the imports, and it was so dumb spending all that time on it. And now I just Option Shift O. It's beautiful. All right, so we're going to select all, and we're going to target. Well, let's target the. It's kind of interesting how this always like shifts a little bit every time you make a change. just like spatially, it's a little bit confusing to me. But let's target our let's target the front end auth module here. Okay, so we have this. Any lines going to here, I'm thinking are fine. That's kind of its job. The to-dos web client, I don't think that should have a line going straight to there. Maybe we can take a look at why that line exists. But that looks good. That looks good. And let's target just the RCircle web client. Dude, so this is, Nicole, this is like that braiding thing kind of personified a little bit. Like, I actually don't think it's that bad if this graph starts looking like a little tangled. I mean, at a certain point, that's just what happens with large projects. But something about this is just like nice. The braids are everywhere. We can see them everywhere in our lives. So yeah, so this is like nice and separate from other things. The only problem is, so I wanted this concept, like I don't necessarily want, like I wouldn't want this lib to exist except for the fact that I want this lib up here to be modular. So I want to have like so our content post stuff, at some point we're going to want to know, like, for example, are we logged in, or who is the user that is logged in? Like, that's something that content post is eventually going to know about. So somehow it needs to get like the selectors in here at the very least, or at some point it might need to do something with I don't know, maybe dispatching an action that's kind of auth related. I don't know if that would actually ever happen, but it definitely is going to need selectors from here. So the idea I'm going to work with here is I'm going to change this one. So this is kind of the idea for this bucket, but I'm going to rename it because I really like this NGRX utils. That's, the more I'm thinking about that, the more I like it. So I'm going to rename this to just be RCircle NGRX utils. The idea is it's going to import that directly. This one directly, so we can have in here, the idea is we would only ever import from this lib any actions when we're dealing with the RCircle web client. So any feature specific, or any feature that's specific to this app, we're going to import from that. So let's go do that. I think that's what we had next. Yes. So let's arrow this one. So that's what we're working on. So we're going to bring up that sweet move schematic, and we're just going to rename it. So can I copy and paste from here? Yes. Success. So project name is here. Oh, I don't want tags. The destination is going to be /front end /r circle NGRX utils. Let me grab it again. I'll go into this bash terminal over here and just paste it. Can't read properties extensions of undefined. What is that about? Did I choose the wrong move? I think I chose the wrong move. Yeah, I definitely want NX narwhal workspace. So let's go back here. There we go. That did what we wanted it to do. Alrighty. So we'll go in and well, I don't know if we actually need to go into this at all. Let's rerun the depth graph. We should just see the name changed. We're going to want to still import the auth NGRX utils this way too. So it's kind of like there's an NGRX modular game we're playing here too. Blow this up a little bit. So there's the front end. Oh, it did get renamed. Did I not run it? Nope, that's not the right one. Oh, I did it with dry run. Oops. No, what did I do? I got rid of no interactive. There we go. Just changed a bunch of stuff. Now let's restart. Cool. There it is, front end RCircle NGRX utils. So I want this to import from there. So let's go do that real quick. How am I going to make that happen actually? Yeah, I know what I want to do. So I wanted to go to front end, and I want to go to this utils, and I want to go to its barrel file. So here's like the content posts ones. So like somewhere down the line, we're going to have like a friends feature. The idea for that, or maybe we'll call it users, but the idea is like for all those kinds of actions, for anything that's kind of like specific to our social media, any feature that's specific to our social media app here, they wouldn't have their own bucket. They just go into this one. Since auth is reused, it has its own bucket. But then we're just going to write in here. Could we just do like, I don't know if this is a thing. Maybe y'all in chat could help me. But so what I want to do is I just want to say like experts export star from, then can I do just Zach live stream front end our auth ones? I think we can do that. And then, so the idea is like, at this point there's nothing, the idea is if we had a, something in our, like one of our front end specific feature modules here, or one of our social media specific modules, we would import from this bucket, and specifically not from the auth bucket up here. Because we want to define like this, at this point we're using this barrel file to like define this is the actual API of stuff you can use with NGRX. These are the actions and selectors you have access to, nothing else. So the way we do that is we'd set up some tags on this so that we can make sure if anything from like this content post or this content post lib is trying to get something from the auth directly, we can make that just have a lint error so we can make people fix it. Yes, so that's what I want to do. Let's see if we, not sure if I restarted that or not. So if now we select all, ooh, that's interesting. But yeah, everything kind of gets rotated each time you run it. I wonder if it's not like deterministically done. But yeah, so there is our bucket file for everything that has to do with the NGRX stuff, and it's going to depend specifically on the front end auth NGRX utils. So let's highlight the front end auth. Let's target front end auth so we can maybe make this graph like just focus on the stuff we care about. There we go. That looks good. Let's target specifically the RCircle web client. That's actually the image I'm looking for right now. So Yes. So the assuming that we will need some auth related selector information up here in this feature module. We're not drawing a line directly here. That's the main thing of what I want to accomplish with this. So cool. Looks like that's in. Let's mark it as done. And then we're just going to make a new one now for the to-do web client. I don't know if we actually need to do this. We're getting close on time, so I think I'm going to just. Well, actually, it shouldn't be that hard since there's nothing to put into it. Let's just make it so we can demonstrate it. Let's do it. Generate new workspace lib, and we're going to call this one to-dos. NGRX utils. This is going to go in our front end directory. Use that, use that. Not messing with tags just yet. This looks good. Okay, here we go. And now we're going to want to do a couple things. We're going to want to just go into the barrel file of this one we just did. Let's actually grab it from this other barrel file. So we're just going to copy this line and we're going to drop it into here. There we go. And now in our now inside of the to-dos web client, we're just going to look in here. So here where it was pulling from the auth NGRX utils, now we're instead going to do the to-dos. Let me restart so I can get to-dos NGRX utils. There we go. I think that's probably the only way we use it. So there we go. Let's restart. Oh wait, we got an error here. What's this about? I think we might need to restart the serve since we just made a new lib. Let me hit Option Shift O, get rid of that unused import I saw up there. Save it. Go and let's run the depth graph. Select all. Man, I got a lot of depth graph tabs. That's cool. So now if I target the to-dos web client right there, zoom in. The idea is there's no line directly from that one to the auth NGRX stuff. So this is like getting back to the Legos, kind of just pulling in this Lego, pulling in that Lego. I guess we're still pulling in this Lego. It would be interesting to think, well, I'd be interested, Lars or Nicole or Frosty, if you're still there, what you think about this, or anyone else in chat too. If you're just lurking, feel free to talk with us. I like this. I like having this so that this is in a level up, so that this becomes very clear what's going on with stuff. I almost want to do something similar. So this is like the NGRX specific stuff. But I think it's very analogous to like what's going on in this auth utils. So this has like a user interface. It has like a Mongo user interface. It's got stuff from there. I almost want to put like a to-dos utils that does a similar thing as this. Like it just kind of exposes a limited API for only the pieces of this that we need, for example. So yeah, I'll think about that a bit more. I kind of like that. Maybe doing all too much. Like if y'all think this is all too much too, let me know. It'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I like the stuff we've done today to kind of organize this a little better, make things a little bit more modular, clean things up. Maybe this will free us up to go a lot faster with some of our other stuff. I'll select all and just take another look. Yeah, it's really getting to the point now where you really need to target stuff already. And I'd argue that this app really isn't that big yet. So, this code base, I guess it's multiple apps at this point. The thing that's throwing me off is just these APIs. I want these API ones to be at the top level, like these web client ones, like vertically, if that makes sense. I think that would help me visualize it a bit more. But even without that, I think you can decently tell what's going on. So there's the auth utils, content post utils. I think eventually this is going to need a line to auth utils too, because we're probably going to need to know like which user is associated with posts with which post. Might be a thing. Yeah, I'll probably just talk to Philip. Honestly, maybe I'll file an issue. Should we file an issue on stream? Let's try it. Okay, just go to NX. I don't think that's right. Yeah, let's go into some random user. Yeah, I don't want to show off all my private stuff on stream, so I'll do it later. Oh yeah, let's do it. If I go to Narwhal, you'll probably see some private stuff in there. So yeah, I don't want to do it on stream. Sorry though. Oh yeah, github.org. Maybe if I went in with an incognito window and I went to github.org/narwhal. Wait, maybe I misunderstood. There you go. Okay, cool. Thank you, Lars. Dude, you're like spoon feeding me today. Of course. Meh. I'll tell you what, Lars. I'll do it. I promise. I'll do it as soon as the stream's off. Sorry. But yeah, thanks for everyone who turned out. Nicole, it was awesome to see you, and Frosty, you too. It felt like we had a good chat this time. It was awesome. Thanks everyone for coming, and let me know on Twitter. I'm really curious if this is just silly to you, the stuff I did today. Like I really just shuffled these things around a little bit. I think you could make an argument it's just kind of silly without giving us much. So Lars, if you think that's silly, let me know. Or do it publicly on Twitter. Shame me publicly on Twitter, so I can we can have that discussion there. That would be cool to have it kind of out in the open. But yeah, I love over engineering. Me too, man. Me too. And thanks, Nicole. Thanks for hanging out. It's awesome to see you. The Enterprise Edition. Nice. All right. Well, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks all for coming. See y'all next time.